What's up? What's up? It's your boy Domuto. Domuto. We back with another video. Today we're watching Totally Not Mark rewriting Dragon Ball Super Tournament of Power. So this is the end of this, and then of course next video we're gonna watch the Dragon Ball GT that was recommended as well. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and here you go.
Have arrived at the final part of this super rewrite, the culmination of the Tournament of Power, and the final reveal from the last episode was Gohan's ultimate plan, a Super Saiyan God ritual. Let's get into it. Yep, that's right, the Super Saiyan God ritual that kicked off the first arc of the series. A ritual that I rewrote to require only 4 Saiyans to pour their light into a 5th. With their help, they can all perform the ritual with the remarkably strong Gohan at the center. And that surge in firepower can ensure their victory over Jiren and Universe 11 if carried out at the right moment. This is a proposal that is very hard to swallow for someone as boisterous as Caulifla. Though she lacks the powerhouse that is hit by her side, she is too blinded by her own pride to accept such an offer from an outsider. In an act of foolish defiance, she instead opts to cash in on the contingency plan Champa had prepared for them earlier. The Potara earrings. As quickly as it is desperate, Caulifla and Kale merge, becoming the far more formidable Kefla. At the drop of a hat, Kefla surges past Gohan and begins taking out as many combatants as she possibly can run into. She is an absolute bulldozer of the highest order, taking out at least a dozen remaining fighters in a dozen separate battles before eventually finding herself squaring off against none other than Frieza. And boy, oh boy, is this a proposition Frieza is down with. Getting to wail on a Saiyan that he knows is weaker than him? Sign him up. Unfortunately for Frieza though, this is the first time he has had to deal with the concept of fusion before, and as such is woefully underprepared for how much of a difference fusion makes. What was once 2 Saiyans well below his strength level is now one singular, stronger Saiyan that has pushed him all the way to his golden form. And as the two carry out a colossal battle, this unexpected power goes so far as to actually push Frieza into a corner. Before long, the battle shifts from a close fight to the beginnings of an outright beatdown as Kefla unleashes a powerful final blast. Frieza is sent careening to the other side of the arena, utterly defeated. Drained of energy and far out of sight, Universe 7 has lost one of its heaviest hitters. Brimming with power and a Saiyan lust for combat, Kefla redirects her attention to a new target, Son Goku. For my money, this is one of the best and most imaginative fights in the entire anime. There is not a single battle in the entire storied history of Dragon Ball with a better Kamehameha than this one, where Goku grinds on Kefla's blast, and trust me, there's strong competition along the series too. This is to say that I don't plan on changing like 99% of this fight. Basically, the two square off, Goku is forced into another bout of Ultra Instinct and performs the single cool... Okay, you get the point, it's a cool Kamehameha. What does change though is the fallout from this fight. Rather than being outright eliminated by Goku, Kefla is sent to the ground, all but drained of any remaining strength. As Goku once again loses his Ultra Instinct aura, over the course of the next couple of minutes, murmurs in the crowd suddenly turn to complete pandemonium. Something's going on. Despite the dwindling numbers remaining on the arena floor in combat, since the elimination of Universe 10 early on, there has actually not been a single universe erasure since. Each universe has seemingly had at least 1 or 2 members remaining to keep them afloat, but following Kefla's elimination streak moments prior to her fight with Goku, some audience members began to notice something. Some universes don't have any remaining members in the arena, and yet members of those teams seem to be missing from the stands also. Someone is missing from pretty much every single remaining universe, preventing their erasure. Up until now, this had gone largely unnoticed, but with such low numbers now, it has become impossible to miss. And so, the Kaioshin from Universe 11 finally notes the culprit. Look, down there, the pink one! Everyone's attention from the stand shift to Boo, who's presently absorbing a defeated fighter from Universe 11. The entire arena erupts in a chaotic disbelief as they witness what they believe to be Universe 7's real secret weapon, a parasitic, regenerating pink monster that absorbs people and adds their power to his own. This, perhaps even more so than the likes of Vegeta, Gohan, and even Goku, poses an existential threat to every tournament participant. Boo's strength lies in his magical abilities, one that could could overcome even the strongest competitor, and as such, Universe 11's Kaioshin sends his very first order to Jiren and the remaining Pride Troopers. Eliminate Majin Buu. Though still wiped out from his fight with Kefla, hearing this, Goku sends a telepathic message to Gohan. Buu is being attacked. We need him around if either of our plans are going to work. Having shared his plan with Goku earlier in the tournament, Gohan springs into action, though is surprised by Goku's phrasing here. What did he mean by our plans? Gohan swoops into action, teaming up with Buu in their very first attempt to survive a fight against the all-powerful Jiren. Having seen the underhanded tactics this pink monster was employing, the sharp sense of justice Toppo had instilled within Jiren was pushing him to eliminate Buu before he could absorb anyone else. Which spells bad news for the two Universe 7 fighters, who are just not strong enough to survive this onslaught from the Titan of Justice.
Yeah.
Though the fight itself was valiant, Gohan and Buu are clearly at their limit, and with no one to back them up, Jiren delivers one final blast, sending both Gohan and Buu careening off of the stage. Noticing this, and having just been freed up from his own fight, Vegeta flies towards both of them at max speed in an attempt to make the save, but he's just too late. As the final milliseconds of Gohan and Buu's descent tick by, both too far away for any hope of recovery, Gohan makes a snap-second decision, grabs Buu, and says, "You know what to do, Buu." From here, he kicks Buu upwards, just far enough for him to spit out someone he had absorbed before meeting his inevitable elimination. Who emerges is none other than Lord Frieza. Now visibly recuperated to full strength, Gohan has been eliminated, Buu has been eliminated, and from there, all hell breaks loose. The first event in this chain of events occurs the moment Buu is eliminated. All at once, everyone in the stands and on the stage come to realize the true purpose behind Buu's utility here. He wasn't absorbing people to gain their strength, he had been instructed by Goku to absorb one straggler from each surviving universe to ensure that they weren't eliminated and therefore erased. If they could defeat everyone while keeping one of each universe inside Buu, then no universes would truly be without a combatant, and the tournament would conclude without any unnecessary casualties. But this plan of Goku's, noble as it was, has only delayed the inevitable. With Buu now eliminated, each of these absorbed fighters were also suddenly flagged as out of the arena, triggering an unrelenting cascade of universal erasures. Universe 2, Universe 3, and Universe 4, all of their crowd members, their entire universes are deleted in a matter of moments. It is an outright gruesome sight to behold as the once packed stands are reduced to scattered pockets of survivors. From this moment onward, the tone of the tournament has taken on a much darker note. The stakes have, well and truly, never been more clear. Perhaps even worse still, the other part of Universe 7's plan has simultaneously fallen apart. Gohan has been eliminated, and with it, their ideal host for a Super Saiyan God ritual vanishes. In the face of this gruesome scene, and without missing a beat, Gohan erupts from the audience, shouting down his final team-leading plan: "Defend Kefla until she defuses, no matter what! You too, Kaba!" These are the remaining fighters in the Tournament of Power, and this is the final act of my Dragon Ball Super rewrite.
Putting these YouTube videos together every week takes so much out of me that the thought of having to dedicate any more brain power to my own...
Shout out my dog, shout out my dog.
Flashing back to Frieza, we see his perspective on the end of his fight with Kefla. After being sent flying across the arena from her blast, the team of 17 and Buu quickly arrive where he lands. From there, they make great haste in taking advantage of his current state and have Buu absorb Frieza for safekeeping. This was the final piece in Gohan's plan. Knowing Frieza would never willingly go along with this, Gohan had instructed Buu and 17 to keep an eye on him, and when the time was right, to absorb him. From that moment on, Frieza was kept safe within the confines of Buu's head, wrapped in a fleshy chrysalis that honestly probably felt way too familiar to him, given that he resided in Earth's hell once upon a time. Though Frieza presumed he was actually dead, unfortunately, he was instead regenerating stamina within Buu, held for the right moment to be unleashed at full strength. With this, Frieza erupts at full force against Jiren, who is still moderately winded from fighting Gohan and Buu earlier. Presently, Frieza is like a hive of angry hornets, suddenly released on the unsuspecting Pride Trooper like a tactical missile of sorts. Jiren may be worlds stronger than the Tyrant, but with Frieza at full strength and Jiren reasonably taxed, It just might be enough to buy everyone some time.
Bullshit.
The scurry for time, however, doesn't stop there though. Goku, Vegeta, 17, and Kaba all gather around the weakened Kefla and take formation to defend her per Gohan's strategy. Toppo and Dispo both make their unrelenting advance on her, having heard Gohan's order, and a ravenous push ensues. Goku and 17 both take up arms against Toppo, who has far more stamina remaining than either of the Saiyans. All the while, Vegeta and Kaba do the same against Dispo. It is a frantic, all-out battle for survival as each of our heroes desperately tries to keep the Pride Troopers at bay until Kefla runs out of her remaining time. Despite the 30-minute time limit on the Potara being canon, Kefla's intense battle against Goku ensures that they won't have to stall for the entire duration, much like the Goku Black Arc did. Though in truth, at this point, they're not even certain why they're defending Kefla. But despite it all, they have faith in Gohan's contingency. So far throughout the entire tournament, he has been reliable, and due to that, fight tooth and nail willingly to see it through to the end. In the final moments, as the last ounces of hope and time draw near, finally each of our heroes senses it. Kefla has split. In a tremendous burst of effort and strength to buy them a moment of reprieve, Goku erupts into Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 and sends Toppo flying far across the arena. Utterly decimated by this effort, Goku falls to his knees. In the same moment, Vegeta and Kaba seize the opportunity and join together in a dual Gallic gun to completely eliminate Dispo from the equation. The time is now right, and in a moment of pause, they all look up to the stands for Gohan, who shouts, "We have enough Saiyans for a Super Saiyan God ritual now. Dad's gonna be too drained. It has to be you, Vegeta." In that one moment, everything comes crashing into focus. Gohan's tactical nuke that is Frieza is still barely keeping Jiren at bay, and with 5 remaining Saiyans on the field, Vegeta must accept the mantle of trust and responsibility. It can't be anyone else. Though he has never been consciously aware of it, this is exactly what Vegeta has been afraid of and worked towards for the entire series.
What? Super Saiyan, he been using Super Saiyan Blue this whole fucking time. So he just skipped Super Saiyan God.
All the feelings of self-doubt, unworthiness, and guilt for his past actions have lingered to the point of often outright haunting him. But now he understands. In this one inescapably pivotal moment, the clouds that have plagued Vegeta's head since admitting Goku is the best in the Buu arc part like the Red Sea. With everyone now depending on him and him alone, the answer to the question he's been too scared to ask himself suddenly becomes perfectly clear. Can he become the person Bulma and everyone needs him to be? The answer is no, because he already is. Without even a second of hesitation, Vegeta surges towards the group and takes formation. With Frieza now at the very end of his rope against Jiren, Goku, Caulifla, Kale, and Kaba all begin pouring their light into the Saiyan Prince, who with no time to spare, transforms by ritual into the legendary Super Saiyan God, a sight not seen since the very first arc of this series. Just as the fight between Frieza and Jiren draws to a close, Vegeta thunderously appears before the monster, dispassionately preventing Frieza's elimination. In the process, all that remains for Jiren is himself and his mentor. Frustrated, they look on at these despicable Saiyan villains who refuse to go down. What follows is the biggest, most climactic fight the tournament has seen thus far. With a resurgence of power and the Super Saiyan God ability in his arsenal, Vegeta is able to maintain the speed of a Super Saiyan God without the stamina drain of the Super Saiyan Blue transformation. Switching between them at will, almost without thinking, Vegeta demonstrates with ease the genius Goku saw in him all the way back during the Android saga, pushing Jiren both mentally and at times physically with clever maneuvering and proper timing, making for the first legitimate fight against Jiren since Goku temporarily achieved Ultra Instinct earlier. But unlike that imperfect form, Vegeta can maintain this approach for more than a minute or two, but it does come at a cost. He's burning through these energy reserves, even though efficiently, at max power, he can only last so long. As the remaining Saiyans and 17 look on from the distance, valiantly trying to reacquire some of their stamina, Vegeta manages to land several powerful attacks against Jiren. For the first time in the tournament, Jiren is actually getting weaker. This is not an experience Jiren is accustomed to in the slightest. Strength has never been an issue for him. It's never been called into question. How could it? It's Jiren. The only thing he's ever struggled with was his principles. It wasn't until meeting Toppo and the rest of the Pride Troopers that Jiren began to hone his raw strength towards the shining goals of peace and justice. And after being with them for many years, he has long since become the ultimate bastion for justice. And that sense of righteousness has never steered him wrong. strong, leading only to peace and prosperity through his journeys in Universe 11. But now, his impenetrable shield of strength was beginning to wane. For the first time in his life, he was facing the chance of losing a battle. His entire universe was on his shoulders, and at the most pivotal moment, maybe he was going to fail. However, just as that reality may have come to pass, the tides suddenly and violently turn again. Vegeta's Super Saiyan God transformation may last longer than Ultra Instinct, but given the limit-breaking effort he's relentlessly demanding from his own body, eventually it had to give way. The radiant red-haired glow fades to black, and Jiren doesn't hesitate to capitalize, lashing out against Vegeta, returning every single ounce of damage he had been dealt 10 times over. Up until now, each time Jiren eliminated someone, it was unceremonious, calculated, and with a great deal of respect. He did not take joy in these eliminations at all. He knew what lay on the other side of defeat for these participants, but he did it anyway to protect those in his own universe. But now, something was different. He was taking vengeance on Vegeta, who dared to shatter the facade of his once thought to be limitless strength. With each successive attack, Jiren bellowed, I cannot be beaten by some lowly scum like you! Another heavy blow pummels into Vegeta. I have shed my righteous blood at the hands of someone so vile. My entire universe is depending on me. This is not how my story ends. Another devastating blow lands, with Vegeta now on the ground and the remaining participants still looking on, dumbfounded, hoping to still regain any strength they possibly can. Jiren raises his hand for a final, finishing blast. The world will be a better place without your universe. Just before the blast releases, a familiar voice comes bellowing from the distance. It's Toppo, who has managed to summon just enough strength to rise up yet again and speak to Jiren from afar. Jiren, stop! These are not bad people. It's difficult to see, I know, but I have seen it for myself. Time and time again, these people have not only helped out each other, but cared for those around them who wished them harm. Were it not for one of them in particular, I would have been eliminated.
I ain't asked for no talk, no jutsu speech, nigga. Come on.
Long ago. Jiren's hand stays aloft, somewhat conflicted, but holding on to the charged ki blast he had. These are some of the strangest guys I've ever seen, but they are noble at heart. Do not allow yourself to sink below the... Cutting off Toppo, and in a blinding flash of light, he is eliminated by a cheap, blindsiding blast of Frieza. Looking on, callously grinning.
Wow.
Jiren, now disillusioned by what he's just seen, fires the ki blast from his palm towards the tyrant before once again being blindsided by a weak but irritating blast from below. His expression harshens as he looks down towards Vegeta. Barely able to maintain his own consciousness, once again, the Saiyan Prince, defiant as ever, raises his hand to Jiren and says, "You're no better than any of us. Enjoy this final parting gift, Jiren. It's gonna hurt." With that, Vegeta fires the remaining energy he has, but it goes past Jiren's rage-filled expression and into Goku. As Vegeta fades, Jiren utterly snaps. These people he's facing seem so very clearly evil to him, yet even his lifelong mentor and role model Injustice has been fooled by them. No more niceties. He is ending this and saving his universe, no matter the cost. Goku and the remaining Universe 6 Saiyans try to move in and make the save with whatever little energy they have left, but Jiren doesn't budge. In an instant, they all are enshrouded in this enormous explosion of power Jiren erupts with. When the light eventually fades and the dust settles from said blast, Vegeta is left lying on the stands, and Universe 6 has lost its final members. The only one left standing in opposition to Jiren and a decisive victory is Son Goku, who hung on thanks. And so, the time has come. The final fight of the series. Goku versus Jiren. At this point, the rest of the fight plays out very similarly to the anime. Goku erupts into Ultra Instinct, and the two share their final ultimate clash, and though Goku is winning out in the end, the toll Ultra Instinct takes in his body is simply too much to handle. But just as it was in the anime, that is not the end of this story. At Goku's weakest hour, his two final, least likely allies come by his side. 17, whose infinite energy could never really be depleted, is here once again to back Goku up with one final push. And Frieza, Goku's most vile of enemies, has regained consciousness once more and managed to summon the strength to stand up and make his final stand as well. A villain, an ex-villain, and a pseudo-hero all side by side, using every last ounce of their remaining strength to topple the worn-down giant that is Jiren. With their combined strength, the cumulative damage that Jiren has taken, and the core of trust they have all come to have in Goku, well, we all know how that ends.
Fire.
This, of course, brings us to the end of the Super series. However, I do want to say something about the story I laid out across these videos. The ultimate motivation behind what I tried to add or change was a desire to see more growth from some of the most compelling characters. Characters like Gohan and Vegeta were defined by their flaws and struggles, and while some of those certainly continued into Dragon Ball Super to some extent, what those elements added always felt either superficial, secondary at best, or, at worst, counterproductive. For me, when Vegeta said, "Kakarot, you are the best," was a monumental breakthrough moment for his character, who up until now had derived much of who he was and what he was worth based on how he measured up against Goku. For Super to simply resort back to chasing after Kakarot again as a storyline for Vegeta felt like a step backwards in some shape or form to me. My opening gambit with his character in this Super rewrite was to create a sort of consequence branching from his actions during Buu to connect the two stories. The events of the World Martial Arts Tournament were ruthless and monstrous on Vegeta's part. And during that Dragon Ball Z portion of the story, Vegeta looked outward and thought of himself as superior to all, and so I thought it would be interesting to propose that due to his actions in Buu, he's forced to look inward and feel a sense of unworthiness, of inferiority. Bookended by two rituals, one at the beginning and one at the end, where he must once again fight during a tournament and once again try to eliminate as many people as possible. With Gohan, it's a similar story. Though it too has its own unique issues, it's been said 1,000 times at this point, and thankfully Gohan is in a better place right now, but the direction his character received up until about the 60% mark of Super felt somewhat aimless. As I've said already in this series, I'm certainly not an advocate for Gohan to cast aside the elements of life he values, like his family and studies. Those are, after all, his greatest motivations too. But if we are going to assume and be happy for him and his character being put out to pasture, then the show has to kinda do that too. But instead it's sort of dragged him out for Resurrection F only to be embarrassed for really no good reason, and during the Universe 6 tournament he was teased as a potential combatant, but ultimately bowed out. For me, when I was watching it, it just felt too much like they didn't want to push him to the side like they did Yamcha or Tenshinhan or Chaozu, but also simultaneously didn't know what to do with him as an active participant. There are plenty out there who would argue that Gohan being nerdy and studying a lot while spending time with his family is wholesome, and they are pleased with that outcome for his character. Heck,
you just gotta find a balance.
I'll admit, it is perfectly in character for him
bro.
to do so. But in my opinion, I don't think it necessarily needs to be either or of these two, and so that's kind of why I try to focus my time on communicating Gohan's growth as a martial artist while leaving the rest unsaid, as it should be assumed that when he's not part of the story, he's at home spending time studying and playing with his family. Some of you might have also thought that Goku didn't get enough love in this rewrite, and I can certainly appreciate that perspective too. But the truth is, I always found Goku's general issues within Super to be less centered around the narrative and more so focused around his portrayal. Because of this, I figured that I would, instead of putting Goku on some sort of character arc outside of the journey to Ultra Instinct, it would have been a bridge too far, and instead focus my efforts on using him as a point of comparison for the likes of Gohan and Vegeta's journeys within the story, which I honestly thought worked out rather well, with each of them coming to realize the scope of their own abilities once they got out of their own way. But of course, when it comes to any piece of creative writing, not everyone is going to like it, and maybe even many of you thought there were too many elements not to your liking in this one too. Which of course is totally fine. If I can critique Super, it's only fair someone else can critique mine, and I hope they do. And so I turn it over.
I definitely enjoyed his version of the story. There was some things in there he could have changed. I didn't understand the Super Saiyan God thing with Vegeta when he could turn Super Saiyan Blue. I don't know, but wasn't that much Goku, but I get how he was trying to use Goku in this story, and yeah, I do like the Gohan and Vegeta aspect of this in a way. But all in all, I give it if I had to rate it, cool. I enjoyed this. I'm saying like an 8 out of 10. I give it 8 out of 10. You know, maybe 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, or something like that. So shout out to Totally Not Mark for this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out the last chapter if you want. And like I said, we're gonna watch the GT after this, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.